Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is going to be a video just going over my daily setup and what I am currently rocking. I know as reviewers things kind of change pretty fluidly and pretty quickly, but I think the polarity pad that was of course a collaboration between myself and Nacho and Pulsar, this has pretty much been on my desk I would say the most in terms of my mousepad selection. Recently had a video talking about the skates that I use for glass. These are currently my main and daily driver in terms of skates, the Yanzi Q PTFE skates on glass, and of course the G Pro Superlight 2 that I had customized by Nacho Customs. The G Pro Superlight 2, I just have a feeling of it's just a very crisp experience in terms of the sensor performance. The weight is at a spot that to me isn't too light, it's not too heavy, and I think the clicks over time have softened up a little bit, and I've just become a little bit attached to the feeling of that tactile pop and responsiveness from Mouse 1 and Mouse 2. It is a little bit still stiffer feeling than something like the Ninjutso Sora 4K with the Omron opticals, but all in all, going from one to the other, I just don't really have a preference one way or the other. I like both. So the G Pro Superlight has been the primary mouse that I've used. And then over here, I have the three other mice that I typically swap to. I have the Pulsar X2H, which I use glass skates, the Superglide V2s. When I swap to the Pulsar X2H, I, of course, swap to a cloth pad. Usually I'll use the Pink Ting Dao or the Rizz from the Whale. The Ninjutso Sora 4K, I swap to this frequently, one of my favorite mice right now, and for ergo, I am using the Zowie EC2 CW. I think it's a good middle ground between the EC3 and the EC1, two mice that I also very much enjoy. For my keyboard right now, I do have the Yuki AIM keyboard coming soon, so this is going to swap out pretty shortly, but this is the Street Fighter version of the from High Ground. It's a 65% board. It's a pretty cool layout. It's an all-plastic frame, but overall it performs and sounds actually quite good, and it was a limited run, and I just really enjoyed the Street Fighter keycaps that look pretty good with the RGB that goes throughout the entirety of the keyboard. All in all, I thought it was a pretty cool drop. And again, I'm a huge Street Fighter fan. Growing up with Street Fighter, one of my favorite fighting games, and it was just a pretty cool drop that I had to snag. Now, over here on the right, of course, I am using my 64 audio Volurs. I reviewed these yesterday. These are the best IEM that I've personally ever used to date, particularly if you like that heavy and high volume of bass. You guys can check out the review for those. I'm not going to get too much into those, but this will be my daily driver in terms of a gaming experience and music listening experience. But for headphones, I am using the HE1000 SE. This I did sneak into the certified Wallhack certified list for headphones, probably the best headphone that I've personally used for competitive gaming purposes, but it does benefit quite greatly from a very meaty and powerful amp. This is the Burson Soloist 3X GT. It's a Class A amp, and it is the best thing that I've used in my setup to date in terms of a power source for headphones and IEMs. IEMs are a little bit tricky with the Burson because it has so much power. There's a lot of noise with IEMs, so you do need to grab a iFi IEM match. This makes IEMs work perfectly on the Burson. There's still a few things that could be a little bit better if it was better designed for IEMs, particularly sensitive IEMs, but overall the Burson Soloist 3X GT with the IEM match works perfectly for my uses, and the amp is something that just absolutely changes the game, in my opinion, for headphones. I mean, it provides plenty of power that you'll ever need for most every headphone. I think it's like 15 watts per channel in terms of power, but overall the Soloist 3X GT has been a phenomenal experience. And the thing I love about it is I can actually swap. I have the Shit Bifrost as my primary DAC right now, but the nice thing about the GT is it actually has two XLRs in the back that I can pair with two separate DACs, so I can A and B test. I can go from the Bifrost to the D6S from SMSL, which is a new DAC. This DAC, to sidetrack, this DAC is actually exceptionally good. It packs the new ES9039 chip, and it performs damn good at $200. I think this, in terms of space and depth and air in between notes, it sounds pretty damn close to the Bifrost. The Bifrost feels a little bit smoother, and maybe just a little more air in between the lower regions. But overall, the SMSL D6S for $200, I don't know that I would pay again for the shit Bifrost. It really gets close in terms of the competitive nature in game. The SMSL D6S, if anybody was looking for a budget DAC at $199 so far, and I'm still testing it, but so far it actually sounds pretty damn solid. I also have the Topping L32, which is a budget amp. This is $149, and it is plenty of power. It has the NFCA circuitry that a lot of Topping things have, like the DX3 Pro Plus that we recently reviewed. But very easy panel here at the front. You can use it as a preamp. You can set it up as a regular amp. Then you have low gain, mid gain, high gain, and the 635 that you can use for IEMs or headphones. And of course, the power/volume knob. Interesting, though, that the SMSL also has a volume knob as well. The L32 only has inputs for RCA and outputs for RCA. The SMSL D6S does have outs for XLR and for RCA as well, and just wall-powered and USB. It's got coax and optical. So the D6S for $200, I was actually very impressed by. The L32 paired with the D6S, I found to be a little shouty, and it made certain IEMs a little bit too sibilant, like the Affle Performer 8. In terms of the noise threshold, I was not able to hear anything, even bumping the power up quite significantly with sensitive IEMs. So in that regard, it's pretty solid for 150. But with the D6S being 200, the L32 being 150, you're kind of encroaching upon the territory of being able to afford a really nice all-in-one. I recently tested the SMSL DO400, and I actually found that to be really nice as well. So it kind of depends on what you're looking for. But I think for me, instead of having two things on my desk for that price range, I'd probably go for an all-in-one. But if you need a pretty damn good DAC from what I've been able to tell so far in terms of those qualities that we want with depth and space, it is a little bit warm like the Bifrost. It almost is like a mini Bifrost. The D6S at $200 so far seems pretty damn solid. I do have the new Shure microphone, and I'm sure my volume's going to cut out here, but I do have the new Shure microphone here, and I run that through the Elgato Wave XLR, which has worked so far flawlessly for me, both on Discord as well as for these YouTube videos. So that's kind of everything I have right now on my desk. My monitors are the Asus 360Hz IPS panel that I have in the description below. I do swap between 1080p and 1440p for gaming purposes. This is the PG27AQN. I just find the 1080p version of the monitor with the colors and the brightness and contrast. Personally, I like it better on the 1080p IPS panel than the 1440p. I just find myself at times playing much better and more consistently on 1080p 25-inch compared to the 1440p 27-inch. But depending on the game and the title, I'll often swap to 1440p. So that is really it. I've, again, primarily been on the G Pro Superlight. My monitors really have not changed at all. And my keyboard, again, will be upgraded soon to the new Yuki Aim keyboard. If you need some additional recommendations for budget amps and DACs and things like that, I'll have some additional content on the channel shortly. But honestly, if you are looking for a Class A amp, the Burson Soloist 3X GT is probably the thing so far in my setup. And the 64 audios and the HE1000 SE, unfortunately, the very expensive items have very much so impressed me in terms of their capabilities. But I think out of everything, the 64 audio IEMs, the Volurs, and the Burson Soloist 3X GT have really just, I mean, they go above and beyond the Call of Duty for what they are. So that is it for this one, guys. I will try to update you guys as things change with my setup over time. but I think for the most part, it's going to be pretty consistent here for the next few months. I hope getting a glimpse into what I use on a daily basis and what's really continued to be in my rotation in terms of mice. I hope it helps, guys. If it did, please leave a sub to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next review. Peace.